Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Did you know that many Muslims unknowingly fall into common mistakes during Jumu'ah, the Friday prayer? For example, when entering the mosque during the Adhan, should you respond to the call or pray the 2 rak'at of greeting the Masjid first? What if you miss Jumu'ah? Do you pray Dhuhr instead? What about those who arrive late or sit at the back even though the front rows are open? And most importantly, when is that special hour on Friday during which dua is always answered? We'll discuss all these questions today, so stay with us. And don't forget to subscribe and drop the word Friday in the comments if you're eager to learn the rulings about this blessed day. Let's start with a question that comes up often. If a Muslim enters the mosque while the Adhan is being called, is it better to answer the mu'adhin first or pray the 2 rak'at of greeting the masjid right away?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. That's an important question. The best practice is to pause and respond to the mu'adhin first, then pray the 2 rak'ahs of greeting the masjid. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "When you hear the mu'adhin, say what he says." Combining both virtues is best. But if standing feels difficult, then you may pray the 2 rak'ahs first and respond afterwards if any part of the adhan remains. What is not correct is to sit down without praying the greeting of the masjid.
Another common question, some people say Jumu'ah is only valid if there are 40 people. Others say fewer is fine. Suppose a small village has only 12 residents. Can they establish Jumu'ah there?
Yes, this is a widespread misunderstanding. The stronger opinion among the scholars is that Jumu'ah does not require 40 people. It is valid with 3 permanent residents or more, as long as there is someone qualified to lead. So if they are 12 or even a little less, it is valid. Restricting it to 40 is a weak view. Therefore, they can and should establish Jumu'ah in their village, especially if the nearest mosque is far and difficult to reach.
And is there a difference between praying Jumu'ah and praying Dhuhr if someone misses Jumu'ah, whether with or without an excuse?
Yes, there's a difference. If someone misses Jumu'ah with a valid excuse, like illness or travel, they simply pray Dhuhr 4 rak'ahs instead of Jumu'ah. But if someone misses it without an excuse, then they commit a major sin, and still they must pray Dhuhr. Jumu'ah cannot be made up later. It converts to Dhuhr.
Let me ask about another mistake. Some people go to Jumu'ah as if it's just a routine without a clear intention. Does this reduce their reward?
Absolutely. Intention is the soul of every deed. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Actions are judged by intentions, and each person will have only what he intended." If someone attends Jumu'ah as nothing more than a social habit, they miss the great reward. One should consciously renew the intention. I am going to fulfill one of the greatest acts of worship of the week.
And what about neglecting Jumu'ah or skipping it altogether? How serious is that?
That's among the major sins. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned, "Let people stop neglecting Jumu'ah, or Allah will seal their hearts and they will be among the heedless." Missing Jumu'ah without an excuse is a grave matter. Jumu'ah is obligatory on every sane adult Muslim except those exempted, like women, children, slaves in the past, and the sick.
Some people arrive very late, even during the prayer itself or just as the Iqamah is called. Does Jumu'ah still count for them? And what about deliberately delaying?
If someone catches at least 1 full rak'ah with the imam, they've caught Jumu'ah and complete it as 2 rak'ahs. But if they arrive after that, like only in tashahhud, then their prayer becomes Dhuhr, 4 rak'ahs. But coming late on purpose is a major loss. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam compared those who come early to people offering great sacrifices, a camel, a cow, or a sheep. The later you arrive, the smaller the reward. Plus, listening to the khutbah is an obligation, and missing it reduces the benefit of Jumu'ah.
What about sitting in the back rows when there are empty spaces in the front? Would that be considered a mistake?
Yes, it's from the Sunnah to move forward. The front rows carry more virtue and reward. Sitting at the back without excuse while spaces are open ahead shows a lack of eagerness for the best reward.
Another thing I've noticed, some people attend Jumu'ah without bathing or wearing perfume. Is Ghusl actually obligatory or just Sunnah?
Ghusl on Friday is every adult. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Ghusl on Friday is obligatory upon every adult. Along with that, it's recommended to wear clean clothes, apply perfume, and use the siwak. This way, the Muslim combines outward and inward purification.
There's also the issue of buying and selling after the second Adhan. What's the ruling on that?
That's prohibited based on the Quran. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع, which mean, O you who believe, when the call is proclaimed for the prayer on Friday, hasten to the remembrance of Allah and leave off trade. After the second Adhan, business transactions are forbidden because the time is meant for focusing on the khutbah and prayer.
And what about actions people take lightly, like pushing through the rows, speaking loudly, or leaving the mosque after the Adhan? Are those mistakes too?
Yes, all of them. The Prophet ﷺ rebuked a man who was stepping over others during the sermon, saying, "Sit down, you have harmed people." Speaking loudly or reciting in a way that distracts others is also wrong. And leaving the mosque without a valid reason after the second Adhan is a violation as well.
Is it true that there's a special hour on Friday when dua is always answered? When should Muslims focus on supplication?
Yes, it's authentic that Friday contains a blessed hour when prayers are answered. But the exact timing is debated because different hadith mention different times. Some narrations indicate it's between when the imam sits on the minbar and when the prayer ends. Others point to after Asr, and many scholars favored the last moments before sunset on Friday. Many companions and successors held that view. Others suggested it was intentionally left uncertain, like Laylatul Qadr in Ramadan, so that Muslims strive in dua throughout the day. The best practice is to increase supplication on Friday, especially after Asr until Maghrib. And Allah never rejects the sincere prayer of His servants.
Dear listeners, today we discussed common mistakes in Jumu'ah, from neglecting intention to skipping Ghusl, arriving late, even buying and selling after the Adhan. We ask Allah to help us perform Jumu'ah in the way that pleases Him.